Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. Today I'll have a very quick look at some copper stocks. First of all, Freeport-McMoRan that moved higher yesterday. I'm not quite sure if it also is all-time highs, and it could continue higher after it's been in a bit of a sideways volatile correction phase, of course driven by the copper prices we're going to talk about a little bit later. But Freeport-McMoRan, if you want an exposure, it's not a recommendation, but if you want an exposure to the copper prices, the copper prices are also at all-time high, so we are in uncharted territory, but there could be a further upside potential for the copper companies. But again, they are quite stressed at the moment. As you can see here, we have divergence on the daily RSI indicating that it is in exhaustive mode, but for now there is no sales signal, and we can also see that RSI is actually breaking above its upper falling trend line here on the daily, so maybe there could be a bit further upside potential. The other one is First Quantum minerals. That is heavily involved. This is a Canadian stock, but it's heavily involved in the Panama copper situation, or copper mines. But there is most of the mine activity there is believed to be more or less dormant at the moment due to political reasons. But let's see. Lately, it has bounced quite nicely, and that could maybe potentially mean that they expect the political situation to ease up, and there could be further upside potential for First Quantum. But again, it is high risk. Excuse me. It is high risk since it's a political situation going down in Panama. If you want a more deep analysis and talk about that, then Ole Hansen, our commodities expert, he knows much more about what's going on there. I'm just looking at the charts basically. All right, I just have to say, as a disclaimer, I'm a shareholder in First Quantum Minerals. All right, moving on to other markets. And again, it was not a recommendation to buy just because I'm a shareholder. I can also make mistakes. Moving on to S&P 500, we have the index pushing higher, very close to test its previous peak and all-time high here at 52.65, and I think we will take it out. Their RSI is in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence. I think we could see a push towards 5,400 level, 5,380 something, which is a 138. Projection. Nasdaq also now has confirmed its uptrend after RSI closed above a 60 threshold, so it has the uptrend has been building here at the past few weeks is now also confirmed, and the index is well above the cloud, pushing towards the previous peak. I think we could see a push towards 19,000 area. We'll get there. It's debatable, but it's not unlikely. So selling may go away, not just yet, but the thing is, everybody's talking about it every year, and then they start selling too early. So let's see, maybe we have to go into the end of May before we see some top and some top patterns. On the European side, fairly strong still. Euro Stoxx 50 lagging a little bit the other main indices in Europe, still below its all-time high, but we are in an uptrend despite having divergence. If it takes out the previous peak here at 51.22, well, then expect further upside potential. DAX, I still believe we'll see it pushing towards 19,000, fairly strong uptrend. We have Amsterdam index starting to struggle a little bit. Still, I think there could be a few days more with the market pushing higher towards 920, 925. CAC 40 is really struggling at the 82.54 resistance at the previous peak. Now it's the second time it's being rejected after it was yesterday again. That means if it is breaking above, well, then expect a push higher towards 8,500. What we can do very quickly, we can put in a little bit of Fibonacci there. Let me just add a new one. That one failed me a little bit. Here we are. So Up in the region, 8,388, 8,470, around these levels. Finally, the Swiss market also pushing higher. Now it has actually made a new all-time high, hasn't closed higher, but it could push a little bit higher towards 12,000. Whether we'll get there, I'm not quite sure, but it is not unlikely. Moving on to euro dollar. It actually is currently testing the 100 moving average and the 786 retracement at 108.25, and the cloud area. The RSI is, as we speak, above a 60 threshold, so it could be that we are pushing higher towards the really strong resistance here at 108.85, but I'm not quite sure if we're being knocked back down. Well, then let's see what happens. I would be a little bit cautious here short term. We can put in a little bit of a guideline. If it takes out that to the downside, well, then maybe that was it. 786 retracement, 61.8 retracement, and 786 retracement are usually the ones that the levels are being reached in corrections. If it takes out and closes above the cloud and the RSI above 60, well, then I will go bullish on euro dollar. Cable also holding up nicely, still negative sentiment. RSI hasn't closed above 60. Some strong overhead resistance here around this level, around 126.25, 126.30, where it peaked last time. We also have the 100 moving average coming down here under 55. So there's some overhead resistance, but it is trying to push higher. Dollar yen losing a little bit of steam short term, but picture is the same, and I think we'll see that across the yen pairs, that we will see a little bit of a correction here the next couple of days, but there's still upside potential for all the yen pairs. Dollar yen towards 157, 158.5. Euro yen above its 61.8 retracement, potential up to 170, as we talked about the past few days, but as you can see, we are maybe heading for a little bit of a correction. The Aussie yen has reached the 786 retracement just below 104, which we talked about for a couple of days now, and I think we will also see a little bit of a correction lower in the coming days. And if it does, what I would do, I would say, okay, let's have a look at what the Freeport-McMoRan retracement could say. Maybe 38.2, 202.46. I don't expect it to come down to the 61.8 or 786, at least not anytime soon. But if it takes out the 102.50 level, well, then there is a possibility to do so. Sterling yen this morning touching the 61.8 retracement, 197.10. Also mentioned previously, so I'm just bragging here. If it takes out that level 197.10, I expect a move up. I will say a move up to 198.60, 65 level. Aussie dollar currently testing key resistance at 66.45.50. If it closes above, well, then there's potential up to 67.50 around that level, where we have some resistance, and we have the 138.2 projection of this correction here. So really a level to look out for here the next 24 hours at least. Dollar Canada couldn't get its mojo together and is slowly fizzling away. 136.18, we have some support there. If it takes out that, well, then we could see a further sell-off down to around 135.5, maybe even lower, but down in this region here. What I would do, I will add a Fibonacci just as a guideline and say, okay, 61.8, you can see that is exactly on the support line, but then we could see a sell-off down to around 135.50 with the 786 retracement. EURUSD hasn't done really much, still 98.40 resistance that should be observed. Dollar Swiss sliding a little bit lower. Keep an eye on 90. 90 is the key support that should be observed. Finally, on the dollar index, currently below 104.84, we could see a push down to around the 104 level, and also Fibonacci we can add to that. Around here, around these levels right there. So 103.84, which is a 61.8 retracement. So let's see about that if it does close below here. Gold is slowly crawling back above the 23.53, and I think it will push higher here in the coming days if it can take out the peak it has had here Friday the 10th at 23.79. Then I expect a push above 24, at least to 2400, but could also test the previous all-time high there. Silver, that has been front running, is pushing higher now towards the 786 at 29, but I think we could see a push higher towards $30. Another one we talked about yesterday, platinum, it actually went straight through the, well, not straight through, it paused a little bit after reaching previous peaks here, where it was rejected a couple of times, but then yesterday it went straight through. And now can have a look at the weekly chart. So where are we going from here? Well, no resistance until around 11:30, around that level, 11:50, and I think that could be reached within. Well, it's always hard to say, but it could be days, it could be a week or two maybe. But do expect quite a bit of volatility, really. Copper pushed higher, as we talked about. It actually new all-time high, taking out a previous all-time high around 504. So we are in uncharted territory, and we could push higher. Still, it's very stressed at the moment. But let's see, do we actually have any divergence on the daily? I do not think so. No, we don't. So. Really close call. Let's see where it ends. Today and the next following days. I think we will have a little bit of a top and a reversal in place, and then a correction. It is quite stressed at the moment, but we are in a strong uptrend in general. Moving on to oil market, not really doing much, as you can see here. It's just humming away. So without direction, I'll skip that because we are already running out of time. It's really a long one today, sorry about that. What I will highlight is that just spoke to Ole Hansen, our commodities expert. Keep an eye on coffee. Apparently there's a heat wave in Central America, Central South America, that could damage the coffee harvest a bit. Had experienced a massive sell-off in April, maybe has some support here just around 190 level, 192. If it takes out 204.5 here, well, maybe it could slowly start building an uptrend, or at least a reversal. Negative sentiment still on the RSI, but we could see a little bit of a bounce in the next couple of days, so keep an eye on those levels. Finally, as usual, let's have a look at the US 10-year Treasury yields. It's slightly lower, 439, could be tested 61.8 retracement, but it's not out of the question. It could dip a little bit lower. We have CPI numbers coming out here shortly, so keep an eye on those. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.